Revenge with Karen. Effective today, your commission is halved. Any questions? That's what the clown said on a Monday morning Zoom, sleeves rolled up like he'd just solved world hunger by slashing everyone's paycheck. Brent, our shiny new manager flown in from corporate, gelled hair, jawline carved out of empty calories, smirked into the camera, sipping his oat milk latte like he was doing us all a favor. I didn't turn my camera on. Why bother? My silence probably echoed louder than half the team's nervous chuckles. Travis, one of the junior reps, laughed a little too hard, thinking brown-nosing might save his quarterly bonus. Spoiler, it wouldn't. The air on that call grew thick like someone microwaved tuna in a closet. I sat there, hands clenched under my desk, replaying his words over and over. Hauled, as in take your mortgage, your kids' braces, your busted transmission, and cut it all in half. Brent didn't need to look at me directly. That announcement already had my name etched in it. I'd been top rep 3/4 of the year, had onboarding documents named after me. And somehow that painted a target on my back. Brent walks into rooms like he's the solution to problems nobody had. When our old director, Meredith, retired peacefully, might I add, he arrived a week later, reshuffling client lists, slashing territories, quoting nonsense about leaning into agile disruption. Nobody knew what that meant. Probably not even him. But it sounded impressive when delivered in his corporate drone voice. Dana was on the call. That stood out. Finance Director Dana doesn't do weekly Zooms. Her calendar books itself. If she shows up, something's already gone sideways, or is about to. And here's the part where you lean in. Just like Brent should have before signing anything he didn't read. 2 months ago, right after Brent strutted into our lives with his culture refresh emails and unsolicited calendar invites, I had already done something old school. I drafted my own comp plan, custom built, not just a template update. This plan locked my full commission for the fiscal year and required the manager's personal sign-off. When Brent became my direct report, he signed it. Rushed it, didn't even read page 2, just muttered something about trusting the process while tapping on his phone. I archived that PDF like it was the Declaration of Independence. Time-stamped, cloud-backed, triple saved. Because surviving 3 reorgs in corporate sales teaches you to keep a paper trail long enough to wrap around a snake twice. So there I sat, watching Brent sip his latte and pretend he invented budget control. Calmly, I opened Outlook, typed a short note. Please find attached the signed comp plan for your reference. Sent it directly to Dana. 10 seconds later, her little black square came to life. Camera clicked on, holding a piece of paper. My piece of paper. Brent kept rambling. Efficiency, streamlining compensation, market trends. But Dana was squinting, reading line by line, lips tightening. My heart wasn't pounding from fear. It was focus. I didn't need to speak. I had already spoken in ink 2 months ago. Brent was about to learn what happens when you try to gut the wrong paycheck on a live mic. Flashback, Brent had stormed into SA. HQ like he was auditioning for America's Next Top Ego, fresh from some nowhere regional office in Phoenix, clipboard full of assumptions, pit-stained confidence, and a buzzword arsenal. We're going to rewire the sales culture, he said, as if culture was a busted fuse and he was the electrician. I brought paperwork. Not just HR templates, but Karen Foster Commission Agreement, version 3.1, aged in fire, strengthened by betrayal, proofed in lawyer tears. The first iteration had survived a second quarter slash of my accelerators. The second iteration had survived half my book being shifted to a junior rep under the guise of mentorship. This version? Lean, legal, bulletproof. And most importantly, Clause 6C. Should management breach this agreement, restitution of full commission transfers to the signatory, Brent M. Callahan. He barely glanced at it. No questions, no red pen. Just a scribble at the bottom, halfway through a lecture on grit. His eyes never hit the fine print. He signed it like most people click accept on terms and conditions to download an app for their horoscope. Flash forward to the post-nuke Zoom call. Brent tried to saw my commission in half with a single sentence. I calmly pulled up the folder on my desktop. Signed, time-stamped, triple-backed-up PDF. Double-checked the clause, triple-checked. Clear as day. His little doodled smiley face next to his name made me smirk. I drafted a one-line email. Sent it straight to Dana. Please see attached comp agreement signed July 7th. Hit send, quiet, mid-Zoom. Brent babbled on about modernizing incentive structures. No one noticed, not yet. But Dana did, her eyebrow lifted. Slight tilt of the head. Muted herself, looked away from her camera. Brent kept yammering. Meanwhile, I just watched. And that, my friends, is how you survive and win when the clown in charge thinks he can cut what isn't his to cut. About to get burned. Because what Brent didn't realize, what he never bothered to ask, was that my contract wasn't just about me. The commission structure he tried to gut wasn't some isolated spreadsheet. It was tied to pipeline forecasts, investor reports, projected margins for the entire Midwest division. Trigger that breach, and legal wouldn't just see a paperwork error, they'd be looking squarely at him. And I wasn't stopping at one email. I leaned back, cracked my knuckles, and started dragging files into a new folder on my desktop. Brent collateral, call logs, email chains, signed PDFs, Slack messages. I even screenshot the juicy ones. If you think I don't keep receipts, you've never survived getting fired twice in a year and still landing on top. I wasn't here to fight dirty. I was here to fight correctly. Brent? He just started the countdown on his own professional funeral. There's a stillness before a car crash. You see the headlights, feel the weight shift. Time stretches like taffy. That's exactly how it felt the moment Dana's little black Zoom box unmuted, cool as bourbon in a brass tumbler. I have one, she said. Brent faltered mid-sentence. He'd been doing his usual dance, waving arms, spouting corporate magic about aligning comp incentives with company strategy, trying to pull credibility from thin air. But Dana's voice sliced through it like a scalpel. All heads swiveled. Cameras clicked on like nervous turtles peeking out. Travis looked like someone had just announced layoffs. Dana didn't waste a second. She held a sheet of paper up to the camera. White, crisp, neon highlights marking every key point, like a crime scene. For those of you who don't know, she said, holding it steady, this is a signed commission agreement. Dated July 7th, signed by Brent Callahan, guaranteeing Karen Foster's original commission rate through the fiscal year. You could feel the collective sphincter of the Zoom room tighten. Brent blinked once, twice. The smug, used car dealer grin drained off his face like spilled milk. For the first time, he had no script, no chart, no Excel. Just a frozen smile and the sinking realization that the iceberg had a name. Clause 6C. I wasn't aware that was still active, he mumbled, reaching for his water bottle like hydration might save him. Dana didn't flinch. It's fully executed, active, and enforceable, she said, clinical. A cough echoed. Probably Rick from procurement. Poor bastard always had the worst timing. I didn't speak. Camera off. Mic muted. And yet, in that moment, I became gravitational. The entire call orbited me. Silence is underrated. There's power in letting your enemies writhe while you sip coffee and admire the legal shiv you slipped in weeks ago. Dana continued, voice calm. Clause 6C explicitly states that in the event of a breach, restitution falls to the signatory. In this case, you. Brent tried to laugh. Tried. That sounds like something legal would want to clarify offline, Dana said, eyebrow raised. Eagles were already looped in. I imagined him kicking wildly under the desk, searching for brakes on a train that left the station 10 minutes ago. He started rambling, words spilling like marbles on linoleum. Look, obviously this wasn't intentional. Who really reads those forms line by line? We all trust each other here. Wrong answer, Brent. Engineers had typed eyes into the Zoom chat. Brent noticed. Let's stay professional, please, he muttered. Dana muted herself. No goodbyes, no sign-off, just click, gone. The room was frozen. Even Travis stopped breathing. Participants' boxes flickered, then vanished. Brent stared at the camera like it had personally betrayed him. Well? he muttered at last, clearing his throat. We'll need to revisit that item. I'll send a follow-up. And just like that, he vanished from Zoom. Ghosted. Disappeared into the ether. The rest of us didn't leave. We hovered, awkward, stunned, the digital equivalent of standing in a hallway after a bar fight, trying to figure out who was next. I watched names slowly vanish, then closed my laptop, walked to the kitchen, poured a cup of coffee, smiled, and whispered, "Checkmate." 5 minutes later, my phone rang. Not Teams, not Slack. Actual cell. Private number. Brent must have dug it out from some onboarding folder he never read. Curiosity mostly. I'd already had 1 cup of the kind of coffee you drink after detonating someone's professional credibility. Karen? Hey. Brent's voice oozed through the speaker, trying to pretend the last 30 minutes hadn't happened. Listen, about the commission thing, it was a mix-up. No big deal. I hit record on my second phone, mic pointing straight at him. Uh-huh, I said, flat. Dead air doing the heavy lifting. You're saying you didn't read the commission agreement you signed? He laughed nervously. I mean, not all the way through. I trusted the system. You know, the process, right? Same process he tried to use to carve 50% off my pay like a mole on a Sunday afternoon. Brent, I said, still emotionless. That form's been in place for 2 months. You've had access to it. You signed it twice, once in person, once digitally. Your initials are on Clause 6C. He exhaled, long, then pivoted. Look, I'm just trying to clean up legacy policies, okay? Meredith left behind. Leaky processes. Wasn't trying to target you. Ah, the classic legacy blame shuffle. Throw the predecessor under the bus. Wheels land elsewhere. You're not cleaning anything, Brent, I replied calmly. You're hemorrhaging control. And I'd recommend you stop calling my personal number. I hung up. That was the last time Brent tried to handle this internally. While he dug his grave with a Bluetooth headset, the wheels of consequence had already started rolling. Within the hour, Dana had looped in payroll, flagged my commission rollback, marked it as pending executive review. Translation: touch this and your hands get burned. The email came quietly. No red banners, no dramatic alerts. 1 line. Karen, as of now, no changes will be made to your comp structure pending legal clarification. We appreciate your documentation. No thanks. No apology. Just dry, efficient respect. I printed it, added it to the Brent collateral folder. Then the whispers started. Travis messaged me on Slack. Eyes and a, "Yo, what just happened?" I didn't answer. Rachel from HR dropped a calendar ping. That's when I knew the tide was turning. HR doesn't usually care about your side unless smoke is rising and they don't want to be the ones to get burned. Holding the match. Then came the cherry on top. An internal audit analyst I'd worked with during last year's CRM compliance sweep pinged me. Need to talk. Let me be clear. I wasn't out for revenge. Not yet. But Brent had kicked open a door he didn't even know was locked. Behind it lay every bad decision he thought he'd buried under buzzwords, jargon, and casual misogyny. He assumed I was another legacy holdover with a cushy base and no bite. What he didn't realize, what they never realize, is that the old guard survives this long by watching, documenting, and outlasting. He thought he embarrassed me on a Zoom call. But the second he signed that paper with his dumb little smiley face, he guaranteed I'd have the last word. And for the first time in 2 years, I didn't feel like I was holding my breath at work. I felt dangerous. At first, I wasn't planning to dig further. Brent's commission stunt was enough. The clause was airtight. Dana had the document. Payroll was standing down. Legal was sniffing around the perimeter like bloodhounds on Red Bull. The humiliation he swallowed on Zoom seemed like punishment enough. But Brent got cocky. 2 days later, I logged into our CRM to pull a quote for a longtime client. Instead of my usual dashboard, a red wall stared back. Access denied. Contact your administrator. No warning, no email, no explanation. Just a brick where my data used to live. I didn't panic. Screenshots. Time-stamped. Then I opened my second laptop, the one I use for side consulting, and accessed archived client records via the vendor portal. 2 clicks deep in a shared folder, I found the first clue, an Excel sheet titled Q3 Partner Bonus Matrix. Already sketchy, Sant doesn't issue vendor bonuses without finance sign-off. But here it was. Green check marks next to 5 vendors, all stamped B. Callahan. No finance approval. No secondary signature. Brent's greasy authority all over it. At first, I thought maybe it was a mistake. Maybe a new bonus structure I wasn't looped into. Then I saw the names. 3 of the 5 vendors were new, only in our system the past 60 days. Onboarding docs flagged expedited by management request, all traced back to Brent's old stomping grounds in Phoenix. I cross-referenced emails, dug into sender data, linked approval chains. Every new vendor had digital approvals from Brent, after hours. No other stakeholders involved. Access logs lit up like a Christmas tree. Timestamps showed off-cycle logins, pushing approvals without notifying procurement. One consulting firm, Gruno LLC, had a hotmail.com professional email. Sloppiness? No pattern. If there's one thing I know better than selling enterprise software to a reluctant CFO, it's how to follow breadcrumbs left by an arrogant man who thinks no one's watching. This wasn't revenge. Not yet, it was maintenance. Cleaning up before the trash starts attracting flies. I compiled everything. Screenshots, PDFs, email headers, the bonus spreadsheet. Even a calendar overlay showing every urgent vendor approval synced with Brent's travel schedule. He wasn't just helping buddies. He was orchestrating payouts with the precision of someone who thinks internal audits are bedtime stories. I named the folder Phoenix Pipeline. I reached out to Natalie in internal audit. Smart woman, glasses on a chain, calls out lies without hesitation, carries a USB stick that could probably end a career by lunch. I booked her time for pipeline clarification, sensitive. 5 minutes later, accepted. No questions asked. That night, I didn't sleep out of anxiety, but clarity. Brent had crossed from nuisance to liability. I was done playing defense. He wanted a war. What he got was an audit with my fingerprints all over it, a paper trail dense enough to give a lawyer a nosebleed. Let's see how he spins this one. First blast, 9:42 a.m. sharp, an all-team email from Brent titled, Clarifying Leadership Direction and Support. Corporate speak for I'm bleeding. And I need to bleed louder than the person who stabbed me. The memo was surgical in gaslighting. Inspirational language, team-first buzzwords, trademark Brent smarm peppered in like mold on a bathroom tile. While I understand change can be uncomfortable, resistance tied to legacy comp structures can slow evolution. Let's stay focused on solutions, not roadblocks. No names, no direct accusations. But every word pointed to me like a neon billboard. Difficult woman now showing. Effect was immediate. Slack went quiet. Travis stopped reacting to my messages. Kayla from marketing, who once begged me to join her Women in Tech panel, suddenly had a scheduling conflict. Brian, who once called Brent a PowerPoint narcissist in a happy hour rant, moved our check-in to TBD. Loyalty is rare in corporate America. Fear breeds like rabbits. Second punch. Logged into my reporting dashboard. My domain, my kingdom. Access restricted. Contact your administrator. No metrics. No snapshots. Just a locked door with Brent's fingerprint still warm on the handle. Heart pounding. That familiar panic tried to grip me. The same as when half our department was cut in one afternoon. The same as when my divorce papers arrived misspelled. But this time didn't last. I had Phoenix Pipeline. I had Brent collateral. I had a folder dense with signatures, approval logs, and enterprise calls that could be printed and wielded like a blunt weapon. So I did what any seasoned survivor does when usual routes are blocked. I escalated. Not HR, not Brent's boss. Legal. Specifically, Mariana Cruz, Senior Counsel, Compliance and Ethics Division. She doesn't appear on org charts. She doesn't give seminars, but she handles everything that might end up in a shareholder lawsuit. One-line email. Hi, Mariana. Forwarding documentation relevant to multiple policy breaches related to commissions, vendor approvals, and retaliation. Please confirm receipt. Attached, 3 zipped folders: Phoenix Pipeline, Brent Collateral, and Callahan Retaliation. The last included transcripts from our recorded phone call, screenshots of the dashboard lockout, and a fresh backup of the gaslight email he'd just sent the team. 11 minutes later, the reply came. Received. Reviewing now. Please do not communicate further with Mr. Callahan regarding this matter. We will coordinate directly with internal audit. 11 minutes. That's not just fast, we've been watching this jackass for a while fast. By afternoon, my dashboard was mysteriously restored. No explanation, no apology. Just my data, clean and untouched, like the storm had never hit. But the wind had shifted. Brent thought locking me out would send a message. He was right. It told me exactly how scared he was, and how much louder I needed to get. The meeting was scheduled for 4 p.m. on a Thursday, prime corporate theater time to bury bad news before the weekend. I wasn't invited, but I saw the invite go live. Internal Compliance Review, closed session. Participants: Dana, HR Director Leela Nguyen, Senior Counsel Mariana Cruz, and Brent Callahan. 4 names. 1 lamb. I didn't need to be there. The stage was set, curtains drawn, every prop loaded with evidence. The files I handed off weren't just about my commission or his after-hours vendor kickbacks. Ariana had combed through every digital fingerprint, every dotted line, and found enough irregularities to warrant a closed-door inquisition. When Brent strutted into that meeting, I imagine he thought it was a formality, a chance to spin a story about overzealous staff and procedural misunderstandings. That's how guys like him operate. Confidence for innocence, and at first glance he still had it. Gelled hair, tight smile, obnoxious navy blazer with fake elbow patches. He even posted a selfie that morning. Leader lead. Every room, every time. Bulletproof, or so he thought. Then 4:09 p.m. hit. Doors shut. Slack went silent. Silence stretched like taffy across the office. The meeting ran exactly 47 minutes. I watched the clock like a surgeon waiting for the flatline beep. No messages, no side chats, just the slow dawning realization. Brent hadn't posted a single great meeting emoji or mid-crisis pep note all afternoon. At 4:48, my phone buzzed. Mariana, thank you. We've got it from here. That was it. No dramatics. Clean, clinical, like a guillotine. I stood, walked to the window, looked over the parking lot. The sky was heavy gray, holding its breath. The weight began to lift, shifting off my spine like sand falling from wet boots. An hour later, Dana pinged me. Effective immediately, your original commission structure has been reinstated. Retroactive adjustments will be reflected in this pay cycle. Appreciate your patience. I read that email 3 times, not because I doubted it, but because it was the first time in years the company had acknowledged I'd been right before it became convenient. I forwarded it to my personal email, printed it, added it to the Phoenix Pipeline folder. Not revenge, record keeping. That night, Brent didn't post a single motivational quote. No end-of-day wrap-up. No crushing Q3 on LinkedIn. By morning, his Slack status was blank. Profile photo gone. I wasn't celebrating. Not yet. Reinstating my commission was just the appetizer. What about what he'd taken from everyone else? The toxic favoritism, the hush-hush vendor deals, the manipulations he painted as culture change, the junior rep whose leads dried up after disagreeing with him, the black engineer whose contract extension he forgot to process until HR intervened, the 3 women who left without ever documenting why. I wasn't done. Now I had receipts, leverage. For once, I wasn't on the defensive. The spotlight had shifted. Brent was just starting to feel the heat. The Monday after the closed-door client review, Brent submitted his resignation via a whisper email to HR and the CFO. No goodbye Slack message. No team-wide onward and upward post. Just notice of departure. Personal reasons. But our CFO, Greg Kavanaugh, Diote spine made of steel and espresso, wasn't having it. His reply, legend, resignation declined at this time. Will proceed with a full internal review and documentation process prior to separation. Thank you. Translation. You're not weaseling out, Brent. You're staying for your public flogging. Greg didn't just want Brent gone. He wanted the paper trail stapled and laminated for the board. Brent hadn't only screwed me. He'd signed off on improvised bonus reductions and commission adjustments affecting at least 4 other reps, all quietly grumbling until now. With my folder as the spark, legal pulled historical compensation records, matching signatures to payouts. The final tally was stunning. $87,000 improperly withheld across multiple employees. $119,000 from me, $14,000 from Nina in Saw S. West, $8,600 from Darnell, who had taken a demotion just to keep health insurance during his kid's chemo. Every single alteration bore Brent's signature. Clause 6C wasn't just a Karen clause. It was a loaded gun pointing straight at his own foot, and he'd fired it twice. He tried to push back, claiming legacy documentation issues. Meredith's leadership left ambiguity. Commission structures weren't standardized. Good faith error, he panicked. That's when the hammer dropped. Tuesday, invite in my calendar, clarification, Zoom, legal and finance. No pleasantries. No jokes, just business. Just fire. I clicked the link 1 minute before start. 6 faces. Dana, Mariana, CFO Greg, an HR rep I'd never met, internal audit, and Brent. His video was on. He looked older, gel gone, blazer swapped for a wrinkled button-down. Puffy eyes. Not I've been crying. More I haven't slept since Thursday. Mariana opened. Karen, thank you for joining. We're reviewing several payout adjustments under Mr. Callahan's management. We need your confirmation on the documents you submitted regarding your commission plan and any direct conversations related to it. I nodded, ready to clarify. Brent tried to interrupt. Greg cut him off with a raised hand. You'll have a chance to respond after Miss Foster confirms the sequence, so I did. I walked them through the form signature, the 2 verbal confirmations, the emailed acknowledgement, the dashboard lockout, the internal escalations, the audit trail. Shared my screen, file metadata, timestamps. Mariana nodded. Dana added more timestamps like building a prosecution timeline. Brent sat there muted, shoulders curling in, trying to become one with the chair. Mariana asked one final question. To your knowledge, Miss Foster, were any of these actions ever communicated as company-approved policy? I looked at Brent, square in the eyes, then back at her. No, in fact, I said, he framed it as a discretionary leadership decision. Off the cuff. Unilateral. Greg probably typed something into the board report that sealed the fate. That was the point of no return. You don't come back from a meeting where your own words confirm you've impersonated corporate policy and personally skimmed $87,000 off your team. The trap was closed. The teeth were already digging in. The invite hit my inbox at 7:08 a.m. sharp. Subject, Final Compensation Review, Executive Session. No preamble. No pleasantries. Just a cold slab of calendar meat, a Zoom link, and a participant list that read like the SATA Corporate Avengers. CFO Greg, Legal Dana, HR Audit, 2 VPs, a board liaison, and one very unlucky Brent Callahan. Call kicked off at 9 a.m. sharp. Everyone's camera on. Brent showed up looking like he'd been dragged backward through a PowerPoint deck. Skin sickly, smirk melted, caught somewhere between regret and low-grade stomach flu. He tried to start strong, launching into a deflective monologue about miscommunication and the inherent complexities of decentralized comp structures. Buzzword bingo practically exploded in the room. We were moving fast, he said, hands fluttering in a performative swirl. I took steps to stabilize payouts based on legacy inconsistencies that hadn't been reconciled post-mid-year. My intent was always in the best interest of the company. Pause, waited for nods. Got none. Dana stepped in. No raised voice. No lean in. She just held up the same piece of paper she'd shown 2 weeks ago. My comp plan, Crisp, cruel, perfect lighting. According to your signature, she said calmly. This wasn't a company guarantee. It was yours. You could hear a pin drop. On Jupiter. Mariana from legal added, because you explicitly adjusted commissions without company sign-off while breaching a legally binding document with a personal guarantee clause, you've placed both yourself and the company in significant financial and compliance risk. Brent's voice cracked. Wait, look, maybe we can resolve this offline. I wasn't fully briefed. This can't all fall on me. It was time. I clicked unmute. No, I said. I think the team deserves closure. I didn't raise my voice. I didn't smile. I just spoke like someone who already knew the ending and had been kind enough to let everyone else catch up. Greg nodded. Agreed. HR will follow up regarding repayment and formal separation terms. Brent's mouth moved, but no sound came out. He reached for his mouse, maybe to leave, maybe to vanish. But legal kept talking. Policy violations, repayment plans, retention clawbacks, client protocols. And the nail in the coffin, termination for cause effective immediately. He didn't even log out. Just froze, screen locked, eyes wide. By the time the call ended, it felt like the air itself had been evacuated from the room. The quiet was deafening. I closed my laptop, walked to the kitchen, poured myself a fresh cup of coffee. Black. No sugar. The way I like it. When a storm passes and leaves nothing standing but the truth. Opened Slack, DMs, Brent. Manager. 3 dots. Blinking cursor of a man who once tried to turn my income into a leadership lesson. I deleted the thread. Didn't save a thing. Didn't need to. The only receipts that mattered were already mine, and they spoke louder than I ever had to. Big thanks to the legends of the old office days. Subscribe to keep the switch-flicking chaos alive. Your ex-boss is shaking in his loafers.